Hey everyone, it's Dan with Provincial Mills. Want to make a short video on how we check the nibs to ensure that the pin is writing properly before we mail it out. This pin right here is actually going to be mailed out this evening, so we're going to go ahead and use it to make the video. First off, we never actually ink up the pin that we're sending out. What we're going to do is we're going to remove the nib from this pin and put it into one of our pins that are already inked up that we use to test all the nibs that go out. So we're going to insert that into there. Get the ink flowing here. You'll notice that I have two pieces of paper here. One is a low quality copy paper. This one here is a high performance quality paper, 32 pound. It's relatively smooth compared to the lower quality one. These two papers are what we'll do all the testing on. We don't use Rhodia or Clairefontaine to test the nibs on, because if the nibs are writing good on these pieces of paper, then the nib will write good on the Clairefontaine and the Rhodia. So the things that we check for when we do these tests are ink flow, and also to ensure that the tines are lined up where you don't have a bunch of scratchiness to the nib. So what we're going to do is we're going to just use this nib, go every direction to ensure that we're getting that good ink flow, and also there's no scratchy areas on the nib. And this nib is actually writing very well. Good ink flow, no scratch to the nib in any direction. So what we'll do from here is we'll actually go over to the higher quality paper, and we'll just repeat all of those steps going every direction to make sure the nib is writing well. Every time we change directions, we were checking all those things I told you about as far as the ink flow and scratchiness. Once we're happy with this, we're going to go ahead and fill out a card. You're going to get this card in the box with the pin, with any pin purchase or any fountain pen purchase. You'll also get this card if you just buy a single nib, a Bach nib. We're going to go ahead and check that as well. And you'll get a card with that Bach nib. Now, if you buy a fountain pen and a Bach nib, you'll actually get two cards. One that we check the Bach nib, one that we check the standard nib that came with the fountain pen. So it'll have the initials of the person that checked it. It will have the date. And then we're actually going to go through all those same steps that we went through on the paper, just so you can see it once you receive this card, and you can see how the nib's actually writing. Once we're done with that, we're going to simply take this nib out. We're going to clean that nib off. We're going to put it back into the pin. And one thing we do with all the pins, before we ship them out, handling them this much, we're going to get fingerprints all over them. So we're going to clean that pin off before it goes back into the packaging. So this pin goes into the packaging, into the pin box, along with this card, and that's what we do to check the nibs. Now, most nibs we don't have to adjust, we don't have to mess with. I would say maybe 1 out of 20. We're going to have to adjust something because either the ink flow's not there or there's a little scratchiness one direction or the other. So we'll make those adjustments. One other thing we do, on the Bach nibs, let me pull a Bach nib out real quick. When you purchase a Bach nib with one of our pins, we do check the wings of the nib to make sure they fit into the fountain pen properly, nice and snug. Sometimes we do have to adjust these wings just a hair. Really, that's the only other adjustment we do to the nibs. And that is our quality assurance, because what we want to make sure happens is when we ship this fountain pen out and it arrives at your house, we want to make sure it is good to go, it's ready for you to ink up, and you can start writing with it. So that is what we do to ensure the nibs are ready to go. If you guys have any questions whatsoever, please email us. We will be glad to answer those questions, and I really appreciate you watching this video. Thanks a lot.